Virgo 8, a first dancing instructor. This is about our willingness to sit at the feet of a master and to humble ourselves in order to receive the teaching from somebody who has gone before us, whom we admire because they're further developed. By implication, I think we're talking about a spiritual practice, so this may well be a spiritual teacher, but first dancing instructor doesn't sort of require that. Whenever we're learning anything from a master, whether they're master of ballet or woodworking or Sufism, a master is a master. And whenever we're learning at the feet of a master, we have to find ourselves, within ourselves, the attitude of receptivity to mastery. Now, the equation of teaching requires that there is this polarity between the positive element, the teacher, and the negative element, the student. It's not negative in any derogatory sense, just like a battery. So there's one who gives out and there's one who receives. That enables the flow of type of energy called knowledge. Without the negative polarity, the positive cannot flow. It will not happen. So if the student cannot render themselves receptive, then the teacher can't do anything. Therefore, as students, we must learn how to put aside that part of our prideful ego that doesn't really like to be told what to do, doesn't like to be less than someone else. I think a lot of us have this in one form or the other. You know, you can equally find yourself as somebody self-denying, and that kind of person willingly sits at the feet of the master, but they don't progress spiritually. They just become entrapped, especially if the master enjoys entrapping students. This is not that rare a phenomenon. The groups you see where there's a guru and many students, I don't like that picture. It doesn't really work for me at all. I remember one person came to me, not a student, but somebody who knew I was a teacher, and asked me a question. And I knew that this woman had had 30 years experience with a particular teacher, a famous teacher. And if I told you his name, you'd know the name. And he has many Rolls Royces and thousands of followers. And I said, well, you've been with this man 30 years. Why are you asking me such a simple question as this? Did you not learn anything? And she was a little bit put out, a little bit shocked. Oh, well, he doesn't talk about these things. Why not? What does he talk about? The point being that she was following this teacher because the teacher knew how to command students to sit at his feet, and gave them nothing. I mean, hypnotized them into thinking that they were developing spiritually. That's not what this degree is about. This degree is about a genuine shaping of one's own heart, or metaphorically, into something that can receive what is poured in there. And the more depth and the deeper quality and richness of receptivity we have, the greater possibility there is for the teacher to pour into it. And so if you go to a teacher who's not managing to teach you anything, it may not be the teacher's fault. It may be that your approach to the teacher isn't quite right, you know. I think that's what this symbol includes. The dance metaphor is also important. Dancing is a very interesting activity, possibly, in my mind anyway, the highest activity of life. It equates to surfing. I think surfing and dancing are the same thing. And if you're really dancing, then what what I believe you're trying to do is to surrender to the music of the moment. All around us there's an interaction of subtle energies, and if you become receptive to the dance, you can feel them, especially, of course, if there's music expressing the energy of the moment. And very often music can either express the moment or create the mood of the moment. Good music can create it. And if you allow yourself to be absolutely free to move along with that music, and yet disciplined enough, sharp enough, not to bump into anyone else, not to fall over. If you have those two things, then you can dance. So the mystery of dance is in finding that kind of balance where both discipline and high self-awareness on the one hand, and on the other hand, carelessness, just having no interest whatever in what happens with your body and who's seeing it and watching it, and is of no concern to you whatever. When you have those two things in balance, then you're dancing. So a dance instructor is not teaching you which steps to use alone. That's included, perhaps. A dance instructor is teaching you how to find the perfection of balance between discipline and the opposite, surrender to the flow. Surrender to the flow and discipline. These are the two things that go together to make the dance. And of course in Sufism is most famous for its dance. It's called turning, or the whirling dervishes, and that's what they're doing. Incredibly disciplined people, the dervishes, as they turn. Incredible discipline. And yet there's something about them which is just not there. I've actually seen them. I've seen a ceremony of the genuine dervishes, not the touristic version, the genuine ones. I've seen them, and it's quite hard to maintain a focus, because they seem to waft into reality and out of reality as you're looking at them. They like almost disappear. It's you have to see it. You can't believe it just to be told it. But they're so in tune with the mysterious flow of what's going on in the moment that they become it. They become part of it. They lose themselves into it. Now, the instructor can give instructions about movements, can give teachings about the balance of this with that. Let's go one step beyond that. It's not enough simply to show what is the case. That's not teaching, that's lecturing. It isn't really enough to teach the student how to model themselves on the teacher so that they know it on a physical level. Even that's not enough. What the teacher really has to do is to see the student, really see the student, look beyond the surface, deep down in, and notice the difference between the student's current state of being and the student's highest potential. So a good teacher can see the best in a student and notice how to move from where they are to where they could be, and to nudge them along that path. If a teacher does not do that for you, not really the best of teachers. And to criticize you and blame you for getting it wrong, walk away. Walk away. That's not teaching.